What's good, America? It's Reggie Florima, a.k.a. Big Flo, one half of the Big Flo O Show. I'm riding solo today, but I got a real special guest for you. Some of you guys are going to be pretty excited when I hear this. I know that yesterday we had Cordell Stewart. We're going to keep that theme going with Steeler Week this week. Next guy I'm bringing the guy was one of my teammates at Notre Dame, 6-time Pro Bowl, 3-time All-Pro, Super Bowl champ, and most recently Pro Football NFL Hall of Fame. There we go. Round of applause for Jerome Bettis. Let's go. All right. My intern is a little slow, so I got to do all the little things myself. So let me get this thing set up. What's good with you, man? How's it going, man?
Man, I can't complain. Hanging in there.
That's good, man. Where you living these days?
I live in Atlanta. So I moved in Atlanta after I retired. I've been here 14 years now.
14 years, man. I see you.
Yeah.
You couldn't come back up here to the cold weather, huh?
I couldn't do it.
I don't blame you, man. You know, you got to get out in hot Atlanta, man. I think how are things going down there, man? It's crazy up here with all the George Floyd protests. People are looting and all kind of stuff. What's it like down there?
You know what? It's a difficult time right now, but you know the way I like to say it's a necessary evil.
Mm-hmm.
It's a situation that obviously we need to address it. Unfortunately, everyone wanted to sweep it under the rug as these issues were bubbling more and more, and now it's bubbled to the point where it demands a national conversation. So people understand what we as black men are dealing with.
Yeah, I mean, this I don't know what's going on. The year 2020 is going to have a movie one of these days. The pandemic going through, and now we're here. This stuff, and I'm curious: are all these protests? Is there going to be another uptick in COVID? I don't know what's going on. This year has just been nuts. So we've been trying to do a little something, man, to get people's mind off of it, bring them back towards football. It'll be something that we can look forward to this fall. We don't want to minimize the deaths and everything that's going on, but we do want to get some morale boosters. So thank you so much for doing the show today. I think it's going to be great for our listeners today to see you here. So, you know, I met you back in 1991. I was just a little freshman guy, and I see this big dude who I thought was a nose guard, and then they start handing him the ball running around. I'd never seen a dude that big move that fast. So, man, I couldn't believe it, man. So you came out of Detroit High School to Notre Dame. Where were you? Cat? Oh, I don't want to get your high school wrong. What high school was that?
Detroit McKenzie.
McKenzie, sorry about that. McKenzie High School out of Detroit. How the hell did Notre Dame get you from the University of Michigan or Michigan State or somebody that other than us?
Well, what happened, what it boils down to is I was a running back. I was a fullback, though.
Mm-hmm.
Coming out of high school, I was highly touted, but I wasn't a tailback. So, you know, I came out, I was 240 pounds, and I was a true fullback. So Michigan is a tailback university.
Mm-hmm.
And they just so happened they got the number one tailback in the country that year that went to me. He had signed with Michigan. And so for me, I knew that, you know, he was going to get the football more than I would if I went to Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
And Notre Dame's offense was really built around the fullback. So one situation I was probably going to be a blocking back, and then the other place, Notre Dame, I could be the feature guy in a sense because a lot of things Coach Holtz did was for the fullback position. So it worked out perfectly for me to leave Michigan and come to Notre Dame, and I never regretted it. It was the best decision I ever made in my life.
Oh, it had to be. We were happy you made that decision. But you're right about that. I mean, Notre Dame was amazing. You think about the amount of running backs we had. Rodney Culver, you played with Ricky Waters. You could even say Rocket was a tailback to a certain extent.
Tony Brooks,
Reggie Brooks, Lee
Becton,
Jeff. I mean, like, you had so many backs to think that everyone got run, but you still got your run. You know, fullback making a name for yourself. It's surprising that, you know, you didn't get stuck being a blocking back with that, but obviously that worked out for you. Then fast forward, you get selected to the LA Rams, move out to LA, and now you become a big tailback, right? So talk about that experience with the Rams.
Well, the experience with the Rams was really different because I was changing positions.
Mm-hmm.
So up until that point, I had been a true fullback, and they wanted me to move back and play tailback,
Mm-hmm.
which was a much different position. A lot of people thought it was just such a natural change, but it wasn't. I was used to hitting people and to getting the tough yards, where as a tailback, your job is to really get the most yards you can get. So they rather you go around the guy than kind of try to go through him.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, the strength of my game was really to go through a guy, not really to go around him. So I had to learn how to make people miss and use the footwork and all those kind of things to become a better tailback.
Right.
So I can get the most yards for the team. So it was a contrast that I had to kind of learn the difference between the two positions. But ultimately, I had a great freshman year rookie year. And
I know you finished like runner-up for Rookie of the Year, Offensive Player of the Rookie of the Year.
Well, I ended up winning it.
Okay.
And second place was Rick Meyer.
And third was Reggie Brooks.
Third place was Reggie Brooks.
I know. How did we not win a national championship when we had the top three rookies in the NFL that year? That's a sore spot almost. It's like one of those, like, how did we not win it all?
Stanford,
yes. Gosh. That was a crazy one there. So, but the transition, it's interesting you say that because, as a guy that had to tackle you in practice, the one thing people always ask, what is it like, going against a Jerome Bettis? What's it like going against this guy? And the thing about you that was crazy is you see this big dude coming at you and you dig your heels in and you're thinking, I got to put everything I got, and you dance a little bit and leave. You're like, damn, he's got a little quick feet. Then the next time you come in there, you're a little bit waiting, and now he wants to lower his shoulder on you. And then the rest of the time you're guessing. So at that point, I guess there's a reason why you got the gold jacket, right? You end up situation keeping these guys moving and guessing. So you're out in L.A. for a while. How long were you in L.A. before they moved to St. Louis?
So I played 2 years in L.A., mm-hmm. and then the owner decided that she wanted to move the team to St. Louis, mm-hmm. And then we moved to St. Louis. When we moved to St. Louis, we fired the coaching staff, and we wanted a new coaching staff. And that new coaching staff was just coming from college. The head coach there his name was Rich Brooks. Had just come from the University of Oregon, and he was used to a college program. He had been at Oregon for over 20 years or 15 years, and so he was used to a college regiment. And now all of a sudden you have all these professional players, and it was an issue there. He felt as though that he wanted certain type of guys there, and unfortunately I didn't fit his mold, so mm-hmm. to speak, and they decided to trade me after my first year in St. Louis. But it was a blessing in disguise because they traded me to a team that just lost in the Super Bowl. So they traded me to a championship caliber football team.
Yeah. And obviously, everyone thinks of you. Who doesn't remember the Ram days, you're definitely more of a Steeler that comes to mind there. And you just named a coach that I don't think anybody who's listening right now can remember. So I think we can figure out who was right and who was wrong.
I remember him because he's the guy that traded me.
Yeah.
So I'm always...
How long did he last in the NFL after that? Because I don't know who the heck that guy is.
They let him go after three years, I think.
Mm-hmm.
2 years. No, 2 years. I think he only had 2 years. 3. Yeah. Because then they went with I can't remember his name, but they won a Super Bowl with the coach. After they fired him, mm-hmm. They brought in the coach, then they ended up winning the Super Bowl. So it was good that I helped them transition.
Yeah.
From
they got Mike Martz was the guy that came in after that, right? In the Super Bowl.
No. What's his name from the Eagles? What was his name? Oh, goodness gracious, I can't remember his name. Marks came after. He's very emotional at times. The coach was.
We'll be back. Somebody will post it.
He took the Eagles to the Super Bowl. He lost Vermeil.
Oh, Dick Vermeil? He's the one who won that out there? Okay.
Dick Vermeil was in. They hired him next for the Rams, and they won a Super Bowl with
Thanks,
Vermeil.
Lisa Kelly. You're a little late now. Lisa Kelly just posted Dick Vermeil for me to see, but she's a little late. We already figured it out, but thank you.
We figured it out.
So, okay, man, this is an interesting person. So they leave L.A. We're going to give you just a little rant. You're the Rams expert. They leave L.A., they come to St. Louis. I think they have a great chance in St. Louis. The town loves them, and then they go back to L.A. What is it about L.A. that has such a hard time with football teams? What was your take on that? Did you feel like they embraced the Rams when you were out there? or was it just a really weird move to St. Louis and now they're back? It's weird. It's like Oakland; they can't make up their mind.
Well, LA is a place where you have a lot of transient people there.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of the problem is, you got people that come there from all over the country. So the people that come from Chicago, they're Bears fans. The people that come from New York, they're Giants or Jets fans. The people that come from Dallas, Texas, they're Houston or Dallas fans.
Mm-hmm.
So they get people from all over the country that go there. So to have a sports team there, it's hard if the team is not born and bred from there.
Mm-hmm.
And so you got to think, the Rams had a run there, but they didn't win. So obviously they went, people have a lot of choices. And if you're not a winning franchise, then they're going to go to something else, right?
Yeah, they're like movie stars in California.
Yeah.
Like movie stars in basketball.
That's kind of what happened. They didn't. And then the Raiders had more success in LA than the Rams did.
Mm-hmm.
So you have a large population that became Raiders fans.
Yeah.
And then the Raiders left, and they still wouldn't cheer for the Rams. So it was one of those.
Well, just go to St. Louis. It's the Midwest. They'll cheer for anything we put out there.
But now they're back in LA.
Yeah.
And they're the only team in town.
Mm-hmm.
So you're starting to get people and they just came off going to the Super Bowl. So now you got fans that are committed.
Yeah.
And the younger generation.
Mm-hmm.
The kids that are 6, 7, 8 years old, they don't remember the Rams leaving.
Yeah.
All they know is, hey, I love this team. They just went to the Super Bowl. They're my favorite team. And so now they're starting to develop that fan base that they need to.
That's good. Okay. Well, enough about that. Let's dig into the Steeler Nation, baby. Everybody I know, my Steeler fans, like, oh my God, you got Jerome on here today. They want to hear about it. What was your experience coming to Steelers? Because to me, it seemed like a perfect fit. They probably should have drafted you if they could have figured it out in the first place.
Yeah, it was an incredible opportunity for me. I mean, I looked at the Steelers. Well, let me back up. I had the option to really decide where I wanted to go. So when I was being traded, the Rams gave me permission to seek a trade. So there was two teams ultimately that wanted my services. It was the Steelers and at the time the Houston Oilers, who became the Tennessee Titans. But at the time, my agent, he wanted me to go to Pittsburgh. I was looking at both teams. The reason he wanted me to go to Pittsburgh because he had the number one running back in the draft.
Eddie George.
Yeah. And so he wanted, and the Steelers were picking next to last because they just lost the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And the Titans were picking the 15th pick.
So he
wanted him to go.
He was counting his money. I love it.
But I'll say this. As I looked at him, because it didn't matter what he wanted ultimately, it was my decision to make. And I looked at it, and the one thing that I saw was that Pittsburgh loved the running back. They love big backs.
Yeah.
And, I couldn't go wrong. If I went to Tennessee, they love big backs too. But I just thought Pittsburgh had just lost the championship, and they had a better football team around them. And I was so happy that I made the right decision again.
Yeah, no doubt. Blue collar type, big strong player come out there, and things went well for you. Fast forward to your last season. We'll start off with the funny part. We got a play where you're going into the end zone. Things, there was grease on the ball or something bad happened. Sun was in your eye. Somehow you dropped the ball, and Ben Roethlisberger makes a lifetime changing tackle for you. Come out there. I know you probably still send him a little something every year at Christmas. He gets that ball. He gets it. So now you get to go back to Detroit to play in the Super Bowl. I'm thinking to myself, this dude here, man, what a storybook out here. So talk about going back to Detroit to win a Super Bowl in front of your people.
Well, let me go.
I'll let you address the Ben Roethlisberger. I won't just stop you there. I'll let you address that.
Well, first of all, let me go a year before. Let me get up to that.
Okay.
So the year before, I decided I was going to retire at the end of the season. We had just lost the championship to we just lost in the AFC Championship to the Patriots. And I'm saying to myself, okay, 12 years, I'm not going to win a championship. Couldn't win one at Notre Dame. It just seemed as though, we keep missing the opportunity, right? So, okay, it is what it is. And so I talked to my team. I tell them I'm going to retire. All of a sudden, I get a call a couple of days later to go to the Pro Bowl that year.
Mm-hmm.
So I get invited to the Pro Bowl, and as it turns out, the Steelers coaching staff was the staff that was coaching at the Pro Bowl. They had a bunch of players that came, and two guys, a guy named Clark Hagens and then a guy named Larry Foote. These two guys came to me one of the nights that we were there. We had a luau that was just all the Steelers that had this dinner. And they told me that the Super Bowl was going to be in Detroit the next year, and I didn't even know. Yeah. And I was like, are you kidding me? So then,
because really back then, they really weren't doing Super Bowls in non-hot places. That was like one of the first ones, if not the first.
Yeah, in a cold,
in a cold area, yeah.
So they told me Detroit, and that's when it all. I'm like, man, I gotta possibly rethink this, right? So now we lose. One caveat to that: we lose in the championship game. Ben Roethlisberger, as the game is winding down, I got tears going down my eyes because I know I'm about to go in there and retire.
Mm-hmm.
He tells me, Jerome, just give me one more chance, man. I'll win you a championship, right? I'm thinking to myself, this rookie. What
is this dude talking about?
Right?
Yeah,
what is it? And so that next year, I decided to come back, right? Mm-hmm. I said, okay, I'll come back. So now we're going. The season not going how we thought because that year before we were 15-1.
Yeah,
we thought, hey, this is going to be an easy opportunity for us to get right back.
Mm-hmm.
Well, as it turns out, we were the last team to get into the playoffs.
Wow.
And so the first game of the playoffs, we played the Cincinnati Bengals. We win the game. After we won the game, Ben gives me the game ball. He says, hey, I promised you I would win. I'm gonna get you the Super Bowl. Here's the first game ball, right? He gave me the game ball. I'm thinking, yeah, okay, whatever. So we go play Indianapolis, and of course, there was an interception at the end of that game there.
Okay.
That interception, Ben actually intercepted. He never got it to me. So it should be considered an
interception. Yeah, we're gonna go with that.
I'm joking.
We're gonna go with that. We called it. It was a bobble.
I fumbled. Ben saved the day, and yes, he is on my Christmas list forever.
You know what I can pay? I would pay for if everybody. Because you think about what goes to the game. When you're getting up, did you get up to try to give chase, or did you just concede that you couldn't catch the guy?
Well, everything happened in slow motion. And so by the time I got up, I was looking and he was gone. I was like, oh.
But anybody who's listening that didn't play football, we all go through these moments where you're talking to the person that can't hear you. You're like, get him, Ben, get him, Ben, get him, Ben, get him, Ben. I know you're thinking right now, I wish I could hear what you're saying. Like, get him. Go for that left knee. He's going to juke you. When you get him, you're probably like, oh, my man. Okay, I got you. I can only imagine.
I was so sick, I was just so sick. I wasn't thinking about, because when it all happened so fast, by the time I get
you're a little off camera. Back up a little.
I see him tackle him.
And you're a little off camera. Back up just a little bit.
I'm sorry.
There you go. They're perfect.
Yeah, and so I'm, by the time it all happens, I'm struggling and I'm.
Yeah.
And then I get to the sideline and nobody wants to sit next to me. Right? Everybody's kind of like, I'm like a pariah.
I got COVID. Like, you thought you had COVID before it came out, right?
Oh, it was. So, but luckily we win the game. He hands me the game ball and says, hey, here's the game ball, right? Mm-hmm. I'm thinking, okay. So we go to Denver that next week and we play at Denver.
Mm-hmm. We
win that game. And that's when, boom, we're going to the Super Bowl. And Ben gave me that game ball, right? And I'm like, wow, we're at the Super Bowl. So getting to the Super Bowl, obviously my hometown, it was like a magical moment for me.
Mm-hmm.
It was so special. And then we get in this game, and everything starts going right for us, right? They're making mistakes. We're, making plays and finding ways to score touchdowns. And as it turns out, we win this football game. At the end of the game, Ben came right to me with the game ball again and said, Jerome, I promised you I will win you a championship. Here's the game ball, right? So at that point, he became like the all-timer in my book.
So is he the godfather of both your children or just the one? Some point.
Absolutely.
I cover him. Yeah, I got you, man. All right, I won't got you.
His name is in the will.
It's in the will somewhere. We got at least something. But that's a beautiful story, man. I mean, to win it in Detroit and then say, hey, I walk off the field a champion right here in front of all my people, and that's
mic drop. That was a
That's a
mic
mic
drop.
drop. Yep, for sure. So fast forward a few years. I don't know how many years it actually was difference because we're getting old now. You get the gold jacket, right? Talk me through that. So how it works out that you guys all sit in the hotel room. They take all the sharp objects out of there so nobody hurts themselves if things don't work out. And then you get the knock. Do you get the knock either way? And they say yes or no, or you only get the knock if it's yes?
You only get the knock if it's yes.
So at what point are you supposed to give up? Like, you know what I mean? At what point?
Because when you say, man, they should not
It
go to
should have been
go
knocked by now.
you
Yeah.
know.
Was that your first time ballot?
No, it
Oh, so
was
you were in the room.
my fifth year, I believe. Yeah, it was my fifth year.
Fifth year that you could have been.
Year.
So you've been
Yeah,
that hotel room five. Wait, hold on. So fifth year out. So you were nominated 5 times. Oh,
4 other times I was sitting in there, didn't get it. My fifth year is when I got the nod.
Since it's a happy ending, what do you do the 4 other times? Like, what did we say? Did we go get chicken? Let's go get some tacos.
I was just about to tell you. So the first year, I was devastated. Right, didn't happen. I never forget. I was in Dallas. Super Bowl was in Dallas that year. I was devastated. So as a result of that, I didn't go. I wasn't in that host city the next year for that Saturday.
Okay.
So I left. I was in Vegas. I said, you know what? If they nominate me, I'll fly in that next day, but I'm not gonna stay there. So I stayed away for 3 years. And then I think the 4th year it was in New York. I went to New York, didn't get the nod, left out.
But you're officially like a ballot member, and then you go and then they do it, or you don't know if you're a ballot member.
So what happens is once you're a finalist, then once they have the 15 finalists, it all happens one day. So that Saturday they go in, and then they start voting for
who's up,
who they want, right? And it's an all-day process. So they start at like 8, 9 in the morning, and they don't make the decision until like 6, 7 o'clock at night. So you're just kind of hanging out all day. It's a painstaking time. Because you think you're good, but you never ever know. So that's the one thing. You just kind of wait. And the one thing you could never be mad about is you could never be mad at having missed 4 other times. I couldn't look at anybody on that list
and thought they
that made it and say, you know what, they should have put me on instead of him.
Yeah,
you just can't say that. All those guys deserved to be in. It was their time. And that's the way I look at it. When I got in, it was my time to get in.
I looked at this year because one of our old teammates, BY, Brian Young, he was on that list too. And this time someone sent it around and looked, and I'm like, ooh, who do you keep off? Like, this is an all-star list. And I'm like, who can be slighted? So, I mean, again, when you get to that level and you get the bust made and everything.
It's the best of the best, so you can't argue with any of the decisions that's made. All you can do is hope that your name gets called.
Yeah. So your name gets called, they knock on the door. You got everybody, wife and kids in there. Who's all talk me through the scene. I want to hear about it. For those of us who will never get a knock on the door that's that good, let's find out about that knock.
Another funny story is the Super Bowl was in Arizona. It's the day before the Super Bowl. Well, at that particular Super Bowl, I had rented a house because I was there all week doing a lot of events.
Yeah.
And so sometimes when you stay at the hotels, where the NFL puts you, it's a madhouse. So I just so happens I rented a house because I had a bunch of friends that came in, wanted to hang out, hoping that this was going to be the year.
Right.
And so I was at the house. I didn't go to the hotel. And so
they knock on the door and nobody's there.
So,
hey, that's payback for the first year, though. That's payback.
That's payback. For sure. I'm not there.
Yeah. Come find me. Come find me. I'm a Hall of Famer now.
So I got a phone call from my agent. He's like, "Where are you?" I said, "I'm at the house, man." Well, he said, "They're looking for you." I'm like, "Oh!" I mean,
It only
I
means
must
one
have been
thing.
driving 100 miles an hour.
Let's do it. You stage your bringing stuff, stage your family. Let's get in the room. Okay, knock again. Let's do it.
Exactly.
Knock again.
And so they came back, and then they knocked on the door, and it was just a magical moment the whole time. It was special.
It was cool, for just a guy being your teammate. It's magical for me. So I just imagine if it was you. I was like, man, check this out. We're watching the thing, doing the thing. I didn't get to go down there and do the party. I heard about your party. That seemed like a concert you could have sold tickets to. But we'll talk about that on the later show. But
exactly.
I watched the speech, and one thing I tell you, I saw you talk to your children and address your son. I stole something, all right? So, okay. You talked to your son. You talked about what your dad told you when you went to Notre Dame. And you said, I don't have a lot of money. I can't give you a lot of things. If I beat it up, I apologize. But he said, I did give you my name. Don't mess it up. I gave you a good name.
Yeah, I don't have much to give you, but I
gave you a good name. Don't mess it up.
Don't mess it
up. Don't mess it up. So you said that. You talked about that to your son or whatever. It choked me up a little bit. So I say that to my son. I won't lie to you. I said it to my son now. So I tell my son. So my son is Reggie Florima Jr. So I said, listen, not only did I give you my last name, I gave you my first name. So when you're out there, if you do something wrong, they're going to think of me, right? There's no hide that you're my son. Do not mess that up. So I just hope he never sees your speech, so he gives me that side eye like, wait, this sounds really familiar.
But you know what? My son is a junior too, so yeah. I'm totally, and that's why I said what I said, because it was one of those moments that you never forget as a son.
Yeah.
Listening to your father, and at the time he said it, I didn't understand it.
Mm-hmm.
Because you would think about it, you're 18 years old.
Like, whatever, man. I'd rather have some money. Dad. Give me some money. I'd rather. Yeah.
Right. Where's the money, Dad?
Where's the $100?
And as I got older and realized that that's what I want to leave my son. The legacy I want my son to have is that I provided you a great name. Don't screw it up.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted just to pass that on to him so he understands the sacrifices that his grandfather made
mm-hmm.
to give me the opportunity to have success. And I want to kind of pay it forward and make sure he understands that's significant. And I say that, and a lot of people have come to me and said that they have sons and they've told their sons. And there's one guy who is one of the minority owners of the Steelers. Every year he says he's got twin boys and he makes them watch it every
mm-hmm.
year because he wants them to understand the significance of what was said and the responsibility that they have to go out and they don't have to go out and be the next Jerome. My son doesn't have to go out to be the next Jerome Bettis, but all I want him to be is a better man than I have
mm-hmm.
been, and be the same type of father to his children that I have been to mine, and that my father was to me.
Yeah.
So that's what it's all about.
And that's true. I mean, I think these kids nowadays, there's so much they're up against. They've got, hell, they can get COVID in the street. That people, someone will kneel on your neck, and you got to do whatever. If you can just carry yourself with a sense of pride,
right,
and carry yourself with your name and have your head high, and you can do that. That's the best thing you can do. They're going to make their own decisions. They're going to come across their own things. But if they have pride in self, which I think our people really need to worry about teaching pride in self for these children, I think that's going to go a long way for them to be good fathers, and that's all we can try to do.
And if your son thinks about honoring his dad
mm-hmm.
because he has his dad's name, then he's going to take a second thought
mm-hmm.
when there's a crucial decision that he has to make.
Right.
And all you ever want as a father is for him to, in that moment, to maybe think of something that you said or think of you
right.
that makes him go in a different direction or
mm-hmm.
go down the path that he's supposed to go down.
Mm-hmm.
Right? All we want as parents is to be that voice
mm-hmm.
that helps them make the right decision. Right? So
right.
hopefully, in you telling him that, that's going to be something that he remembers and sends him down the correct path.
And I think fear is one thing that kids can have, but that'll fade, right? I can't catch my son anymore. He's a little faster than I am. If he wants to run from me, he can run away. In a couple of years, he'll be out of the house and you won't see it. But if he has pride and he doesn't want to let me down, and he has a pride of something he wants to live up to, I don't have to worry about it being scared. But I will still put him in a headlock if necessary, just so you know. I'm a full contact parent if I need to.
For sure.
So, So, man, so Hall of Fame, what has that done for you differently? I know you're a busy guy. It's hard to kind of get a hold of you now, probably. How's that changed your life being in the Hall of Fame?
Well, it's changed my life in that the accolades that that come with being a Hall of Fame member,
Mm-hmm.
the accomplishment that brings. Ultimately, for me though, my crowning achievement was winning a championship.
Okay.
When you set out to play football, I didn't set out to play football to be a Hall of Famer. I set out to win a championship.
Yeah.
That was always the goal, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I pushed myself every year to be the best player I could be,
Mm-hmm.
so that I could be the best leader I could be and lead my team to a championship. And that was the goal.
Mm-hmm.
So the byproduct of me wanting to be a champion for so long was getting into the Hall of Fame because of a career's my career accomplishments. But ultimately, it was winning a championship.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I look back at the Hall of Fame, it really just cements to me that it's a job well done, that I set out to accomplish something. And in accomplishing that, I was able to be considered one of the best players to have ever played the game. And I think that's enough for me. It's incredible. It's an honor to be in that elite group of men, and it's something that I always cherish. And I just hope that my family understands that they're all part of my success.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody who helped me, everybody who helped me get through it, you as well, all my teammates, because when I got to Notre Dame,
I put that on my resume. On my resume at the bottom is going to say, help Jerome Bettis get to the Hall of Fame.
Right.
That's going to put there.
Really, because when I got there, I'll tell you a little story. My first year, I get there and I'm hurt. And so everybody's chirping, he's supposed to be this and that. And I hurt myself in my All-Star game, my state All-Star game. So I get there and I got to ride the bike for the first couple of weeks of practice. So they're looking at me like, yeah. And then I get in and Jim Flanagan, he hits me one time and cracked my shoulder. And I still got a click in it. And everybody's like, oh, okay, all right. The cheek is in the armor. But it was those type of things that helped sculpt me to be the player that I was. And that's one. Another one was Irv Smith. When we were getting ready for the bowl game, we were getting ready for the who did we play? The Sugar Bowl.
Sugar Bowl, yeah.
Yeah, we were getting ready for the Sugar Bowl, and I had this big Sugar Bowl game, and so we get right after the Sugar Bowl game, we come back and we go through our stuff for spring game, and Nick, I never forget it, Nick Smith, he says, man, Irv, was it Irv or Nick?
Nick on defense.
Nick, it was Nick not Irv, it was Nick Smith, Nick linebacker,
yeah,
right? So he's messing with me, and he was like, yeah, JB, you went to work. I said, the only difference from me doing the bowl practices is I always thought I was the baddest guy, and I said, now everybody knows I'm the baddest guy on the planet, right? And it was just a mindset, right?
Okay.
At that moment, because he was messing with me, before that game, like, man, you better be ready, all this kind of stuff, and all those kind of things help develop you into the player that you ultimately become. I wasn't that certain of myself. I felt that I had the ability and all those kind of things. So there was all those things. I'll tell you another one. Obviously, you and OG have this show, so I'll tell you one thing about Oliver. So he comes out of what is it? Olivet is this high school?
Romeoville High School.
Romeoville, right?
Yeah.
Romeoville, I'll never forget it. He's the number one linebacker in the country, right? I was the number 2 linebacker in the country, right? And then a guy named Marvin Jones.
Shade Tree, yeah.
he played for
Florida State.
Florida State
And then the Jets.
and went to the Jets for a lot of years. He was the number 3 linebacker in the country, right? So I'm looking, I'm like, when I get to Notre Dame, I'm like, all right, I can't wait. OG, I want to see what he got, right?
Yeah.
I'm coming for him, right? In my mind, that's what I'm thinking, right? So the fact that he came to Notre Dame, it inspired me even more because I was always saying to myself, all right, I got a chip on my shoulder because he was number 1, I was number 2. I should have been number 1, right? And you have this as an 18-year-old kid, you're always thinking this, right? But I chose to play fullback and not play linebacker. But I was always kind of using that energy and saying, okay, yeah, I gotta go, I gotta get it, because that that little bit that what I gotta make sure that he knows and I know that I'm after you, that kind of thing, right? So it was just those kind of things that as a kid it helps get you going and develop you into the player that you ultimately become.
So you guys not knowing Jerome, you see he's full of energy even today on a Monday afternoon or whatever. He was always like that, loud and screaming. When you come in as a freshman, you see someone with that much energy and you're just trying to get along, you're like, what the hell? But there's some stories. I would bring one up because he has confidence. This guy with you. I think, are you in the high school bowling Hall of Fame or something like that?
No, I'm in the professional bowling Hall of Fame.
Hall of Fame. He bowled 300. All kind of stories. Jerome, just all kind of crazy stuff Jerome could do when we were growing up. But here, I want to talk to you about the Notebook. Heard about the Notebook in your car where somebody read your little notebook you kept for yourself, and all you wrote over and over again was Jerome is the best. Jerome is the best. Jerome is the best. Jerome is the best.
Notebook, I had goals. I had all my goals, and I just
maybe this is urban legend.
I just gave it to my son, man. I promise you, I just found it and gave it to my son, man. I wanted to show him. I was like, look, these are the goals that I had. I wrote this down. I put it on my mirror. I did all that stuff.
Was there or was there not multiple pages that said Jerome is the best and nothing else?
No.
That's urban legend? I like my story better. That's urban legend. It was believed because Jerome had confidence in school. He just wanted to make sure he reminded himself.
But that would have been punishment. I had to write these sentences.
All the time and do it, whatever. So
I wrote the goals down, and what I would do is every notepad that I had, I would write the goals down in all of the notepads. So that could have been missed.
The story changes. The story is probably better until I just ruined it right now.
Every notepad I had, I wanted to have my goals on the first page, top left corner. Those are my goals. If I got another notepad, as soon as I opened it, I wrote my goals, top left corner, and then that's just kind of how I went about
We'll leave those private. I want to ask you about those. One thing I want to ask you about, you were a physical player, right? You came out and, hit him in the mouth, butt him in the mouth, knock him in the dirt. That's what they used to say in Notre Dame. With the game changing, how do you think about the game changing and the kind of the devaluing of the running back? We didn't get a running back to I think the last pick of the first round this year, and they're not giving them the money that they were. It's more of a receiver league now. What do you think about the changes in the game?
Well, here, let me break it down since we do have a little time to do it. It's not a devaluing of the position. You're not able to find the same players. So, and I can give you I can give you that based on my experience, okay? So let's say if you are a running back in this day and age, if you're 220 pounds and you're a stud running back, there's only 5 schools that you can go to play pro-style running back. You've got to go to Alabama. You got to go to LSU. You have to go to Georgia. You got to go to Ohio State. You've got to go to Wisconsin. You've got, I'm sorry, USC.
I said slide us in there. No?
No, not Notre Dame. Maybe Michigan. Maybe Michigan. And maybe Clemson. Maybe. They do some of those things, not a lot of them. But there's only a handful of teams that run a pro-style offense. So if you look at every year, where are the running backs coming out of? They're only coming out of Ohio State. They're only coming out of Alabama. They're only LSU. Georgia All the
Yeah.
last 5 or 6
Yeah.
first round picks have come out of Georgia, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because these are the only schools that run this type of offense. Everybody else is going to a spread offense,
Mm-hmm.
and they're asking the little bitty running backs to play running back because they go lateral down the field. They don't go north and south anymore.
Yeah.
And because it's such a passing league now, they want guys that are smaller, able to run laterally and catch the ball out of the backfield, which is fine. But here's what happens: if I go back and if I'm coming out of high school, I was a number 2 linebacker in the country. I was a number 1 fullback in the country, right? If I'm going to make a decision now, my decision is to play linebacker because they don't have a fullback
Nope.
anymore. So all these kids that were 225, 230, big running backs, they moved to linebacker now. So now you don't have that number of running backs available in each year's draft because they've changed positions and now they play linebacker now.
Mm-hmm.
So each year you got a choice of 4 or 5 running backs in the whole draft. And now every team needs a feature back, but they're not available. So what you have to do, you got to go 2 platoon. You got to get 2 or 3 running backs that all together can do what one running back can do. And now you don't pay them that much because they're not making the same impact that a feature running back would. But I'll tell you this, when the opportunity presents itself, Ezekiel Elliott was available. Guess what? He was a 4th pick of the draft. He was a feature back, right? Saquon Barkley, the number 2 pick in the draft. So when they come out, as rare as they are, Gurley, when he came out, he was a top 10 pick. When they come out and they're the size and the prototype, the speed, the power, they are a top 10 pick. But the problem is,
they're all linebackers now, is what you're saying.
They're all linebackers now. And now the guys that you're choosing from are these smaller running backs. The kid from Georgia, O'Hare, the kid from LSU, they're 5'8", 5'7". They're not feature backs, but that's all you got. So you know what you do? You change your offense and you say, you know what? We're going to go with, if we want to run the ball, we'll put this guy in. If we want to have an option of run pass, we'll put this guy in, and we'll put the third guy in if we just want to pass the ball. And that's kind of how and that's how the running back position has evolved because the offenses have changed in college football.
That's very good insight right there, and I think a lot of people are going to be taking that note and looking at it because I was just wondering myself, in the youth football, even now I'm seeing in high school, guys are tailbacks, but they want to play receiver. They want to catch the ball. They want to do it. 7-on-7 has made guys that maybe, when you were in high school, maybe they didn't throw the ball to you because they just handed it to you. Just like, big guys didn't dribble, but now big guys are shooting threes in basketball, and now everybody's playing 7-on-7. So your starting tailback in high school is a receiver all spring because he's playing 7-on-7, and then he kind of likes it,
But not only that, if he's extremely talented, then it's easier to get him the ball at wide receiver than it would be at running back because if your offensive line isn't that good, you can cover some of that up with you moving him to wide receiver, right, or making him put him in motion, doing some other things. So those kids that are really special that are running backs, they've now lost 10 pounds, and instead of them being 218 or 220, they're 205, 207, and they move them out to wide receiver.
Yeah, there's less smoke out there. I mean, but
here's the problem. If the guy isn't 6'1", then he's going to play running back because he's 5'8", 5'9".
Yeah.
He's really fast and really talented, but he's too short to play receiver.
Yeah.
So he's got to play running back now.
Yeah, so we'll give him back.
That's kind of the fallback on the running back position.
Yeah, so we haven't seen the big backs like you, except for the guy, what's the guy in the Tennessee Titans? He's a big back, but he's more of a gimmick guy. He's a stiff arm and foot race guy. So Derrick Henry. You don't have the big shifty guys, the big thick legged guys anymore doing that kind of stuff. Well, we'll see where we're going to go with there. So I don't know. I mean, you happy with some of these changes in football with the rules, taking the physicality out of it, or what are you thinking about? I mean, now that your son, I don't know if your son's playing yet. I kind of like it.
He is, but it's a necessary evil. The way the game is now is the way the game needs to be. Obviously, we played in a day that uh, it was much different. It was a black and blue kind of league. And obviously, with what we know about concussions now, the game had to change.
Had to change.
So this is just the evolutionary change that occurs when you find out that the way that you played in years before was causing a lot of risk to the athlete. So you gotta tweak it, you gotta adjust it. Yeah, this is not your mother's football, but it's football nonetheless. That now it's more of a skilled player's game, and now you look at it, and it's still football, but it's a little bit different.
The changes have been happening forever. So before you and I played, you could clothesline people, and you could face mask people, and then they made that illegal. And the older school people probably thought we were soft. When I was growing up, I don't know how many tackles I would have made in high school if horse collar was illegal. That was my number one way to tackle somebody was a horse collar. How the hell was I supposed to get you faster than me? I grabbed that horse collar or whatever. Leading with the head, that's what I was taught to do. I have my helmet sitting here behind me on the wall, and there's more scars in there. I didn't want them to buff those scars out. I thought that showed who I was as a man. So, but the kids are just different. My son, he looked at a horse collar tackle the way that we looked at a face mask. He looks at some of those leading with the head, and that they look at it differently. So that we'll get used to it, and just it softens up like everything else.
It's just our generation. Once our generation is gone, nobody will ever remember how the game was played. So it's just a process, and you got to go back. I mean, years ago, before the forward pass was even a thing. The game evolves, right?
I know.
And this is just the evolutionary change that we're going to see. But I will say this: any team that wants to win a championship will have to be able to run the football. So make no mistake about it, the running game is not going to disappear because the teams that can run the football impose their will like no other way.
Right.
You saw what the Tennessee Titans were able to do. And so that it's not going to go out of style. You just got to find the players that can do it. Now these running backs that have that ability, they are becoming unicorns.
Yeah.
So when you find them, you got to use them because they are rare.
They'll be back. Like you said, they'll be back. I mean,
they'll be back.
I'm waiting for somebody to come back and do power eye football and just run a fullback and do it. Do you think anybody can stop it? Nobody recruits for that anymore.
They don't recruit for it anymore. But because you know why? The offensive linemen have to be smaller and faster. Everything is changing, right? So that power game is probably not going to be the case. But if you have nuances of that in your offense, that's going to make you really hard to stop. And if you get a special running back, that changes the dynamic. And when you look at the teams that are really good, most of them have a special running back that has the ability to change the game.
Right.
And when you see it, then it's not hard to spot. It's out there.
So, JB, man, I really appreciate you today. I know it went beyond the half hour I had contracted you for, but I appreciate you staying with us.
Good,
we can talk about this all day long. I don't know. I'll put you on the spot. Do you have any charities that you're working with? I'd like to let my listeners know what the charity's doing. I know you did some stuff for asthma before and things of that nature.
Well, I have my own foundation, the Bus Stops Here Foundation, and what we've done in this COVID arena, as I call it, is we've been able to really work with the less fortunate than ourselves, in that we have kids that are dealing with school, and obviously school is out now, summer school is in, and they don't have the necessary tools. And so our foundation, we've been raising money, and we've been buying laptop computers so that kids have the ability to complete school. There was a group of kids that didn't have access to the internet. They didn't have internet access, and they didn't have any of the tools or any computer hardware that they could go to school. So we're raising money. We provided over 100 laptops so far.
That's fantastic.
That's just something we're doing. And if anybody's interested in helping, they can go to the bus stops here .org, and they can check it out.
That's fantastic. Well, hey, JB, hopefully we can have you on the show again when football comes back. We've got some more stuff to talk about. We can break it down a little bit more, man. But love you, man. Appreciate you. Best of luck to everything you're doing.
All right, love you, brother.
All right,
Be
buddy.
good.
Take care.
Be safe.
But now the day has come. But let you know where I'm coming from. Yeah, baby, look what you done for me. No.